Hey, Kyle, Brian Vander, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Well, I'm so happy to hear from you, and have been enjoying everything that you guys have been doing. Well, forever, but especially lately, because
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear it.
You're in the middle of a single series right now, right?
Yeah, for us, it was a way to offset the lack of CD sales. You know, the hard copies. People aren't really buying CDs anymore. Most people are streaming, so we figured, well, let's do this. Let's put a single out a month, and then at the end of the year, we put out 12 singles on an album, and we only make half the amount we typically manufacture, and see how that goes instead of trying to get rid of the 5,000 CDs I have in my basement right now.
It's interesting because you've. So I've been reading the blog and everything that you've been doing, and it's very almost it's very business centered almost, and it's been kind of amazing to watch because you have these singles out there and you're 6 deep now, so I guess we're about half the album through from what to expect, but kind of realizing with what you're talking about on there about what it is like to be any kind of band in 2016. But especially, for lack of a better term, a heritage band, the one that's been around for a while, and it's, trying to maybe find their footing in a new era.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we are. We're slip sliding every which way. We're trying to figure it out. We happened upon the kids' music, and really was not a calculated move, but it ended up being a move that pays for everything else. We make all of our merchandise sales, or most of our merchandise sales, I'm going to say 70% of our merchandise sales are in kid stuff. Because, when you play a kid show, kids don't want to leave without something.
Right.
And if you buy one, if you buy one of your kids a T-shirt, then you're going to buy all of your kids a T-shirt.
Yeah.
So we happened upon that by, like you say, trying to find our footing. When I hear from people I haven't heard from in a long time, they say, "Wow, you guys are really kicking it now." It's just because they hear about us every day,
right?
And not by their normal means, not by not from radio or whatever else, wherever else people get their music now. Streaming too,
right?
Although streaming's killing musicians. By the way,
and I'm sure it is. Although that's how I found these singles myself too. Is
that right? What format did you?
For me, it was Spotify.
That's so fun. You're like you're a bit of brightness then in a world that's been very dark lately. Because honestly, I was thinking about pulling all my solo stuff off of Spotify, off of Pandora. I mean, making none of it available for streaming. Because I haven't seen anything that's given me any indication whatsoever that there's a benefit to it. It costs me, put an album out there. It cost me $50 just to put it up for the year, which is not a lot of money. But if I make $50 back from streaming on Spotify, it's pretty impressive.
So I do want to pull this back around because, I mentioned that blog, and it's so interesting to hear you being really, really frank. And it's refreshing on my end, too, to read this because, there is the mysticism of rock and roll, which is great at one point, over here. There's that side of thing that I think that's a really important thing to keep around. But I think it is really interesting to see the honesty, too, because, for a listener who's not thinking about buying the record, who's like, oh, I can just stream it, because they assumed, or maybe somewhere in the back of their head, subconsciously, that, oh, they're rock stars. They're fine. I can listen to it. But, you're putting it all out there, and for our listeners who, have no clue what I'm talking about, what you're writing about on there, and especially one of the most recent ones that really struck me is you're talking about, like, the tour budget. And how you were looking at like a $4,000 loss and hoping that the next show would do it, and then there was like 26 tickets sold. And that's not something a lot of people would put out there, but you were like, this is how it is.
This is the conversation that I would have with my manager, who would always say, you don't want to do that. You don't want to let people know that people aren't showing up to the shows. I'm like, Doug, I'm telling you, people know they're not showing up to the shows. First of all, the fact is like, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm trying to get people to understand when they say, why don't you ever come to Orlando? You never come here. You never come here. We're going to go to Orlando, and you and 4 other people are going to show up, and I'm going to drop another $4,000 to get down there. I mean, I can't do it. I can't afford to do it. And this New York trip was something we had to do, and I knew it was worth it in the end, and it was worth it. It was worth it to get back out there, and I think I ended up losing probably $3,000 from that trip, but we just booked this whole Texas tour and down at into Joplin, Missouri, and Texas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, and everything, and then last minute, the big money gig in Joplin, they pull out. So now I'm looking at another loss.
Right.
And the reason that we booked the tour is because we were going to hit Joplin, Missouri on the way home.
And it was going to make everything better, right?
I was actually going to turn a profit, but I'm not turning a profit on that tour either now. So it's, listen, I get to play music for a living. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Sure, and
this is what I want to do, and these are the things that you have to deal with.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to paint a dark picture of this, myself. It's just an interesting that that you're an open book like this, because every band goes through this. This isn't the tale of we were super successful, with this one album, and woe is us now. It's not a tale of that. You're still out there, a working band like all the other bands, and they're going through the same stuff. And it's just really, really nice to see you being so honest about that. Like, personally speaking, at least. I don't know how your manager.
Well, I'm glad.
I'm sure your manager disagrees with me, but I think you're on the right track here.
Well, I think also, I think that we have a distinct advantage, and I'm trying to make that as clear as possible. We have a distinct advantage over a lot of bands who never had the big hit. I mean, I've got friends who were, very successful in the 90s like we were that aren't able to do anything. They got to get day jobs. I mean, they got to do something else. They can't afford to do what I'm able to do. I'm able to make a living. I got a nice house in a nice neighborhood. I got 3 kids. We're all very comfortable, and I could live the rest of my life doing this and continuously putting out music. This is what I want to do. You know?
I found it really. As I was researching and everything, and here we are talking about the blog, and you've kind of put it out there as like, this is what it is to be a band in 2016. And I ran across your guys' interview with 120 minutes. And so this was right at the end of the 90s, because it was the Frog album, the self-titled one.
Yeah.
And you were telling Dave Holmes, like, this is an album about what it's like to be in a rock band in 1996. And it's like these amazing little bookends that I found, probably unintentional if I had to guess too.
Well, I mean, I think I've always tried to be an open book. I think that's proof of that. But back then there was an absolute fist that came down and said, you will not, talk disparagingly about, the label, about, what it's like. We have to continue this momentum. And look, that Frog album was a catastrophe. I mean, I really love the album.
Yeah, I love the music.
Nobody bought that record. I mean, 7,000 people bought it in the first week when we expected 70,000. I mean, it was a huge failure, and it cost us $1.2 million to make that album.
That's amazing. If you had sold 7,000 in a week, now it would have worked. Now.
That'd be a huge success. I just read somewhere, I think it's Eric Clapton released his album, and he sold 40,000 records, and it was a huge success.
Right.
I was like, oh my God! Back in the day, it was like somebody would sell 200,000, and you go, wow, that's awesome in a week, But nobody does that anymore.
No, it's amazing that just I don't know, it's all relative, obviously to the time.
Yeah, it is.
To the time, but I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that big of a financial failure for you guys, because I guess I was one of the 7,000 people that bought the record early on.
I appreciate that.
No, it's.
I stand behind that record. We made mistakes. We went into the studio in New York, and we used Michael Beinhorn as a producer. It definitely takes his time. And 12 days to get a guitar track. Oh my God, one guitar sound.
Wow.
But we were in New York, and we essentially tripled our $400,000 budget by staying 3 times as long. I mean, that's we weren't we didn't have hookers and blow in the studio, and we weren't throwing money down the toilet. We were spending $4 or $5 grand a day on the best studio in the world, and we stayed there for 9 months or something making that record.
Now, in comparison. in comparison, what does it look like now with these songs that you're currently putting out?
As far as what, the recording process, or
yeah, like it doesn't take that much time anymore. Are you doing these in a studio, or do you guys have like a home studio at this point?
No, home. Well, it's a studio. Yeah, it's our bass player's studio. It's in his garage, and but it's built like a really professional studio. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference in the sound. Like that's
there's no frills. I mean, and the quality of the sound is there. We have a great mixer, John Holbrook, who has mixed a lot of our records, and he can make anything sound amazing. We go in. We're all proficient players now because we're older, and it goes down quickly. I mean, everything goes down quickly. And the beautiful thing about it is that I can write a song on Monday, and by that weekend, if I wanted to, we could release that song. Fully mixed, produced with artwork and everything in a week. I mean, it's amazing that you don't have to. That's the great thing about what's going on now, is that back in the day, you write songs for a year, then you go into the studio for 4 months, and then you have to wait, for them to set up the record for 3 to 6 months. And by the time the record comes out, you're so sick of it. You don't even want to listen to it. You don't want to play it. Now it's exciting to go out and play these new songs that we just wrote 2 weeks ago,
right,
and that we recorded a week ago. So.
Yeah. I was kind of looking through it and listening to these songs and taking whatever history I know from you guys. There are two folks in your past that I wonder if they've stayed with you, because you did once write with Andy Partridge.
Oh, I love them.
Of XTC. And of course, you worked with Adam Schlesinger. How do you say it? Schlesinger? From
Schlesinger, yeah. Equal love for Adam.
Yeah, from Fountains of Wayne. So you've got two of the biggest pop craftsmen in your history.
Yeah.
I don't know what those sessions were like. I don't know, how much you were able to kind of take from that. But do you still feel yourself like using any of that in your current songwriting?
Sure, with Andy especially, and with Adam. I think Andy taught me to be clever, to play with words. English language is a blast. It's so much fun, so easy to play with words. Use a pun. Don't be afraid of a pun. Write a lot. Write every day. Adam taught me that the lyric can be superfluous to the music, and that's okay on occasion. Sometimes people just want to relax and not really think. They don't want things to be too heady. Get a decent chorus, and then the verses will write themselves. So, both come from different sides of the scope for as far as songwriting go. But you're right. Out of all the people I've worked with, those are the top two that, and equally, I would work with either one of them again.
Yeah. I guess we should also bring up, because it is the anniversary, it is Villains at 20, right?
Right, it is. Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah. And you've never been able to get away from that album. And I know that's kind of a thing with a lot of bands who have that album and everything. So I don't know what that looks like for you. Like, here it is, 20th anniversary, but it's not like, for a lot of people, like, the grand nostalgia trip or whatever. Like, that's I'm sure always kind of been connected. Like, you've always been on that train.
Yeah, I don't think, it's hard. I've never been able to disconnect from that album. I mean, that album is, the album that really made our band. And, as far as getting away from the album, I know what you mean. I think we picked the songs off that we play live. We used to just pick, play Photograph, the songs that were semi-hits, Photograph and Freshman and Cup of Tea and Villains. And then we didn't really go back into anything deeper than that until the last year, where we started to play Myself and these other songs that were a little more obscure, Veneer, for the old school fans. And now that we're doing the anniversary show, we're playing them front to back, learning the other songs, having to relearn my own songs from back then, and playing them in rehearsal has been awesome. I'm just like, wow, I forgot how much this album rocks. I mean, it really does. It really is a great rock album. I'm very proud of it. Where I haven't listened to it, I hadn't listened to it in probably 19 years.
Because you haven't needed to. That's the thing.
Why would I have to? Yeah. Why would I ever want to? Why would I ever want to listen to one of our albums that we've already put out? I never would.
Right.
But so I'm excited for the anniversary, and I think people are excited to see the show, and hopefully for the next year we'll be out playing more of these anniversary shows where we play it front to back. I mean, it's a blast to do it.
I do like when bands do that. I've seen a few different artists kind of do, whatever record that they're doing at the time and kind of do it front to back. And it's fun. It's fun as
It is
long as you
fun.
know the record.
It's fun
I guess,
for everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, if it's not fun for you, don't do it. I mean, it's like you're doing it. I'm not doing it. Look, we're not going to sell any more albums of Villains. I mean, it's not. We're counting on people to come to the show, but we're doing it because it is fun. That's if something's not fun, we just don't do it anymore. Those days for me are over.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a record label and having to do things. If I don't want to do something, I don't do it now. That's part of my retirement. Slowly retire that way. I'm just going to say, I didn't like that gig last time. I'm not doing it. That's how I'm retiring.
And that's it.
That's exactly right.
Looking back though, at that time, as you're kind of having to do right now, you were part of that. The record label is telling you to do this. I mean, do you look back on that part of your life? Was that fun? Because that was the big swept up in success moment. That was your on MTV moment.
I think that I have mixed feelings about it now. I really didn't enjoy it when it was happening, and I regret that. And I really didn't use the label to my advantage the way I should have. I should have thought of this more as a business. But back in the 90s, when nobody was really licensing their music too much, or early 90s, I was really anti-label, and I didn't think it was cool, and all this other ridiculous stuff. Instead of embracing it and using them as a partner, and, these are mistakes that you make, at least that we made. So if I could go back and do it again, I think I would be friendlier with the label and do more things their way. But I fought them the whole time.
Yeah,
I fought them about everything. I mean, I fought them just to fight them. It was just the stupidest thing. It was the stupidest thing.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to talk today. It was a whole lot of fun.
Great conversation. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.